again, our objective for today is I can add real numbers. Let's read it together. 1, 2, 3. Can add real numbers. All right, so if I was to ask you the question and you're thinking about this, in that objective, what is our concept for today? What would be it? You're thinking about it, concept for today, okay? Share with your neighbor the concept only, okay? And then if I was to ask somebody what the concept is, they're going to tell me, Anthony, real numbers. How about Felicia? Real numbers. So there's no doubt about what we're looking at, right? And what are we going to do? Add. Yesterday we started with some notes in regards to reviewing some stuff, right? So in the back of your Cornell notes, I asked you to take some notes, and we got through the first property. So let me fast forward to that. I went ahead and reviewed the rules that you were given last year using absolute values, how to add with the same sign and different sign. Remember that? From there, I introduced the additive inverse property using, if I dig a hole which is 7 feet deep, how much dirt do I need to cover it, and so on and so forth. And we said the additive inverse property is the same as saying a number plus its opposite is 0. And I said 7 minus 7 is 0, negative 15 plus 15 is 0, negative 2,500 plus 2,500 is 0. And I said 1,576,256 plus the opposite is 0. So I said instead of saying additive inverse, what do we say we're going to call these? 0 pairs from now on, right? And I said share with your neighbor 0 pairs, so you would share with your neighbor. From there, we went over the identity property of addition. And what is the identity property? It says that the sum of 0 and any number is the number itself. And here, 0 plus a is a, 0 plus 7 is 7, negative 10 plus 0 is negative 10, 1,000 plus 0 is 1,000. And I said, it's kind of like when we look in the mirror, imagine that the 0 is a mirror, bless you, and the number is seeing itself, right? And that's how we see this mirror. Yeah. Okay. All right. So we got to this part, and then we started with the concept, and we said the concepts are real numbers. And then we got to the definition. The definition, we said real numbers is a set of all numbers that can be represented on the number line. I gave you 4 examples: negative 8, 23, Michael Jordan, 7.25, 2/3, and pi. For non-examples, we covered that square root of negative 16 does not exist. There's no such thing. Your teacher probably in the past said you can't get negative square roots. Remember that? Or square roots of negative numbers. However, I'm telling you that you are going to use those numbers, and we said that they were called what? Imaginary. Since they are not real, the real can be represented on the number line. Imaginary cannot be represented on the number line. Okay? So then we think about why these are examples and why is this a non-example. Think about it. Why are these examples of real numbers and why is this a non-example? Tell your neighbor why this is a non-example. It's a non-example. So if I was to ask somebody why is that one a non-example, Alfonso, why is it a non-example? It's imaginary and it's not a real number, or it cannot be represented on the number line. Okay. So with that said, so what do you think will be the critical thing to remember about real numbers? That they do what? That they what? Yeah? Exactly. So where you write all numbers on the number line. So that's the most important thing to remember. So you write that on critical attributes. You write that down, the critical attributes. Okay. So with that said, we covered the properties that we're going to be looking at. We covered some rules. We went over the concept. So now, since we have the concept, just to make sure that everybody understands what the concept is and what we're looking at, it says, which of the following example is an example of a real number? Look at these two. Don't say it out loud. Which of these two is an example of a real number? Because they're found on the number line. So, steps. What are we going to do today? Here we go. To add real numbers, right underneath your prayer model, we wrote steps, didn't we? So you write, to add real numbers, I. To add real numbers, I. Step 1, represent each number on the number line with tiles or symbols. Represent each number on the number line with tiles or symbols. Represent each number on the number line with tiles or symbols. Represent each number on the number line with tiles or symbols. Step 1, represent each number on the number line with tiles or symbols. Represent each number on the number line with tiles or symbols. Represent each number on the number line with tiles or symbols. Step 2, identify all zero pairs or use absolute values to add. Identify all zero pairs or use absolute values to add. Identify all zero pairs or use absolute values to add. Identify all zero pairs or use absolute values to add. Identify all zero pairs or use absolute values to add. Identify all zero pairs or use absolute values to add. And the last step, and the hardest one of all, that some of you kept forgetting last year, simplify. Think back to last year when you got little mistakes done on the quiz. What happened? You forgot to simplify. Hello. So this year we're going to practice on that. Make sure you simplify everything to lowest terms. So let's see all steps. Represent each number on the number line with tiles or symbols. Identify zero pairs or use absolute values to add. And at the end we simplify. Now go back with red. If you have your pen, circle the word represent. Underline on the number line. Circle the word identify. Underline zero pairs. Circle the word use and underline absolute values. And at the end, circle the word simplify. So if you don't want to remember all the little words in between, as long as you remember those things that we circled and underlined for each step, that'll be probably faster. So step 1, represent on the number line. Step 2, identify zero pairs and use absolute values. And step 3, simplify. Step 1, represent on the number line. Step 2, identify zero pairs, use absolute values. And step 3, simplify. Okay, so we got our steps. We got our concept, so now let's do an example. Here we go. So in the back, do you still have room for examples or, yeah, right? If you don't have room for examples there, make sure you get another seat ready. Example number 1. Copy this down, please. Find the sum. -4 plus 7. Okay. Before you work on it, I just want you to copy it, and I'm going to go over the steps and all the ways that I want you to look at this. Everybody copied it? All right, pens down, pencils down, eyes up there. Here we go. So check this out. Out of the steps as to how to add, the first step was to represent the numbers on the number line. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get my number line going. Yeah, 0. So I'm going to look at the first number. The first number is -4. -4, that tells me to go to the left for negatives. Is that correct? I'm going to go to the left 4 steps. So here's -4. So let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. Are we there so far? However, it's saying add a +7. That means I need to go to the right 7 steps. But I'm going to start where I had landed. I had landed here, so I'm going to go to the right 7 steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Where do I land? At 3. So my answer for this is 3. That's using the number line. Copy that, please. Okay? Pens down, eyes up there. If you haven't finished copying, you'll finish copying right now. I'm going to leave it up there so you can see it. Okay, so that was step 1. Step 2, what did it say? Identify all 0 pairs, right? First, and then do the absolute. So I'm going to show you how to solve this, the same thing, but using 0 pairs. So check this out. I'm going to rewrite it, so you don't rewrite it, you're just paying attention. So all writing utensils down, please. Check this out. What is my first number? -4. I'm going to use tiles. This is something that we call in math tiles. So we're pretty much using symbols. So it says 4 negatives. 1, 2, 3, 4. But then we add 7 what? Positive. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, can we match 4 positives and 4 negatives to make a 0 pair? Do you see it? Check this out. In case you don't see it, I'm going to circle them so you can see them. -4 and 4 become what? 0. What do we have left? 3. Positive. Copy that, please. And for this one, just write like this. With tiles, so that you know which way this is. With tiles. All right? As you're finishing up, I'm going to write right here absolute value. I'm going to rewrite this, -4 plus 7. All right, pens down, eyes up there, please. So check this out. So I'm going to find the sum, but now using absolute value. Here we go. Absolute value of -4 is 4. Absolute value of 7 is 7. However, the rule is if they have opposite signs, the two numbers, we're going to subtract the numbers. Huh? So what is 7 minus 4? We're going to keep the sign of the biggest absolute value. The biggest was the 7. What sign is the 7? Positive, so that's why we get +3. Copy that.